In today's video, we're going to answer the question, how do you break away from the comfortable licks and scales? Hello, my name is David. Welcome to the channel, which is all about helping you express yourself on the guitar. So it's an important question that we all have asked ourselves at some point or another. So we start playing guitar to express ourselves, or maybe not, but most of us do, to really tell that story that is inside. And so we need a tool to express ourselves, and typically the first tool we encounter is the good old minor pentatonic scale. And that's great, and we rely on it. It's part of our common vocabulary, the alphabet from which we can extract all those cool licks that we use, and that's great, but you start feeling stuck with it. Here, this is what happens. I've got a backing track here, which, by the way, you can download that backing track. There's a link below. It's free. Sign up once and you'll get access to all the downloads on the channel. But here's what's happening. We've got this backing track and I'm gonna jam over it a little bit and then you'll see what happens. All right, so I've got my first pentatonic box here. I'm gonna start jamming over this. It sounds fine. But what happens if I do this? What's going on there? I'll tell you what's going on. It sounds like crap. No, it sounds fine, but you don't really know the chords that are happening in the back, right? That's what's going on. So why is it a problem? Well, it's a problem because it's a sign that you're just relying on those licks over and over. Regardless of what's going on in the background, you're playing the same thing, trusting that it will work, and it will work, but there's a better option. Picture this. You are on a trip, and you're taking a train. So you're sitting in your seat, and the train is taking you from point A to point B. Takes a couple hours, great. You've got your ride. That's what you're doing when you're playing with the pentatonic scale, the same licks over and over. Regardless of what's going on in the train, well, you're gonna get from point A to point B smoothly, safely, it's fine. The other option is, instead of just sitting in your seat and seeing what's just around you in your peripheral vision just around, like your neighbor, what's going on in the back, like you see the landscape going on and you're just sitting there. The better option is for you to sit in your seat, and as soon as the train starts to move, you're gonna get out of your seat and see what's going on in the other compartments of the train. Go visit the restaurant, go visit the parlor, go visit all those things. You will still get to the end, but you'll have a richer experience. Okay, enough with the analogies. What does that mean on the instrument? What you're playing over is the train moving. I can just be passive, sit in my seat, and just enjoy the ride. Pentatonic scale. The train is the train. It's still going to the end. I have like maybe a minute or two to solo over. Now I'm gonna visit the other compartments. The compartments of the train are the chords you're playing over. Oh, here's a new chord. What is that? Here's another one. Here, what is that? I'm gonna investigate. Here's that chord again. Here's another one. So let's see, we've got, that's an F major, and here's an A minor. F major again. And then here's the Jimi Hendrix chord. And back to A. And then we've got a D. I'm gonna play over those. I'm gonna visit those compartments. So over the A, maybe I'll play some notes of that arpeggio. Over the D, some notes of that arpeggio. See the difference? As opposed to just sitting in my seat. This is a lot more a lot more precise and a lot more interesting. Okay, you get the idea. It's more of a micro commitment to the things that are going on in the backing track. It's a little more involved, but not as much as you think. So how do you work on this? Well, first of all, you need to know the chords of the chord progression you're playing over. So you can use your ear, you can use some charts if you have charts or whatever. Eventually, you won't need to analyze that, you'll just hear it. But start with that analytical work where you're trying to see what's going on here. This particular backing track is, like I said, made of an A minor. So we've got like really two parts. The first part is that A minor chord, followed by a D major chord. So instead of approaching this as A minor pentatonic throughout, I'm going to start to work on extracting the important notes of these two chords. To really maximize this, you want to use a narrow area of the fretboard. You don't want to spread it around. This is going to help your visualization and your musicality. So here, the first part, we have two chords. We've got an A minor chord, or A minor 7, and a D major chord. See, I'm using the same slice of the fretboard between frets 5 and 8. I'm going to stop the backing track and I'm going to start visualizing the arpeggios of these two chords. So A minor 7, well, I've got my shape here. So the notes of my shape are going to work. I could phrase with those if I wanted to. It's going to work fine. Or I can really extract the full arpeggio, which would be something like this, where you have... If you don't know the shape of the arpeggio that corresponds to these, and by the way, I have a free masterclass available right now that you can sign up to. The link is below. It'll really help you with that. We have our arpeggio. And we can start phrasing with that. Building some phrases. See, already that's a lot more melodic than the minor pentatonic scale. Now, if you blend both together, that's where magic happens. And then we're going to tie to that slice of the fretboard the next chord, which is a D major chord. So D major chord, you look at the arpeggio of that chord. If it's a little uncomfortable, that's okay. Just build some phrases that are comfortable to you. And then the next step is to build maybe a phrase that starts with that A minor 7 chord and ends or continues in that D major chord. So let's try that. I'm going to start on A minor. And the goal is for you to hear the chord progression without having to have the backing track. Let's see what happens there. So you're hearing this, hopefully, those two chords. Now, if I tie this to the backing track, it's going to be a lot more melodic. Now, of course, I could still play my minor pentatonic. So what happens there? Now that chord is an F major chord, and notice that I didn't do big jumps there. I stayed in the same zone of the fretboard. Whenever you can play something over different chords in the same slice of the fretboard without doing big jumps, it's going to sound a lot more melodic. It's a little more work, a little more prep, but if you can do that, it's really wonderful things can happen with that. Click here to sign up to a free masterclass in which you're going to have the opportunity to work on this with me over a simple blues. It's really going to help you cover this kind of concept and apply it to your own playing. I'll meet you right here. It's completely free. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you next time. Practice well.